Prologue. The beauty they mocked. They called her Scrap Queen. Even among her own kind she was a joke. Yura was a Tekri, a crystalline-skinned, six-eyed alien species known for precision, elegance, and cold logic. But she was none of those things. Her exoskin shimmered with flawed facets. Her voice box emitted a stutter on high frequencies, and worst of all, she felt emotions, dreams, longing. In the Tekri system that made her defective. She lived on Juno's Scar, a desolate moon used as a scrapyard outpost. Their discarded tech from across the galaxy was dumped and sorted. Yura was a scavenger, fixing broken things and building odd machines no one asked for. Ignored. Pitted. Until he arrived. Chapter 1, The Outsider. Humans were still new to the galactic scene. Strange creatures. Fleshy, loud, unpredictable. Most Tekri found them annoying. But Yura, she found them fascinating. So when a human cargo pilot crash-landed on Juno's Scar, half buried in the junk fields, she didn't report it. She rescued him. His name was Kalen Ward, a former soldier turned freelancer, running supplies between minor colonies. His ship had been sabotaged. His systems fried mid-jump. Injured and unconscious. He would have died in the toxic fog of the scrapyard. Yura dragged him to her ramshackle shelter, wired together a medpod, and kept him alive. When he finally woke, eyes bleary and chest aching, the first thing he saw was her. And he flinched. Not because of her appearance, but because he didn't know if she was friend or foe. "Easy," she said, her voice glitching slightly. "You are not harmed. I repaired what I could." "You fixed me?" Kalen asked. "Yes," she replied, brushing dust from his shoulder. "I fix things. You were broken." Chapter 2, Laughter in the Dark. Over the next few days, Kalen recovered, and the two formed an awkward alliance. Yura helped patch his ship using scavenged parts. He helped her reroute energy flows in her unstable fusion core. They worked side by side in silence, which soon turned into conversation, and then into laughter. Kalen wasn't like the others. He didn't mock her voice. He didn't wince at her asymmetry. In fact, he started asking questions about her inventions, her dreams, her life. And when she hesitated, unused to attention that wasn't cruel, he just smiled. "You're not broken," he said one evening, sitting by her makeshift fire. "You're brilliant. You built all this by yourself." She nodded, a faint glow of surprise pulsing in her throat. "I see beauty in what others discard," she said. "It is why I live here. No one else stays." "Well," he grinned, "I'm staying until my ship runs again. Maybe longer." Something bloomed in her chest then. Something terrifying and warm. Chapter 3, Eyes of the Watchers. Word of the human survival spread through the Tekri relay networks. Curious travelers and highborn inspectors arrived in silent cruisers to see the defective who nursed a human back to life. They didn't praise her. They mocked her louder than ever. "She patched him with junk parts," one laughed. "An emotional glitch has turned her into a pet caretaker," another sneered. Even her former mentor, a cold Tekri named Varnes, came to deliver a message. "You bring shame to our kind. You have aligned yourself with an unstable, carbon-based brute. You will be isolated." Yura stood tall as they hurled insults. But Kalen, he clenched his fists. "I've fought on 3 planets," he said. "I've bled for people I never knew. And I've never met anyone stronger or kinder than her." They ignored him. Tekri logic dismissed emotion. But Yura heard him. Really heard him. When the cruisers left, she sat beside him quietly. "You are the first who ever stood beside me." You're the first who ever deserved it, he said. Chapter 4. Invention of the Heart. With Kaelin's help, Yura completed her greatest project, the Reclaimer. It was a massive fusion-powered processor that could break down junk into clean energy and use nanites to rebuild components atom by atom. It would turn Juno's scar into a rebirth point, a place where discarded tech and discarded people could become something new. But the Techri authorities saw it as a threat. A defective could not redefine innovation. They ordered it dismantled. When they arrived with shutdown codes and security drones, Yura stood before the Reclaimer, shielding it with her body. You may mock me, she said, but you do not own me. This machine is mine. Its power is mine, and I will not surrender it. They moved to seize her. But then came the shock. Kaelin stood in front of her. And then more joined. Other scavengers, exiles, and forgotten ones who had quietly found shelter in her shadow. A crowd of broken people, drawn together by her compassion, her mind, her defiance. This isn't a war, Kaelin said. But if it was, I'd fight on her side. The authorities backed down. Public opinion shifted. The Reclaimer stayed. And Yura, she didn't just earn their tolerance. She earned their awe. Chapter 5. The Proposal. Months passed. Juno's scar became a hub for builders, outcasts, and dreamers. Yura was no longer the scrap queen. They called her the heart of the scar. But one night, while watching meteor trails arc across the stars, Kaelin sat beside her and took her hand. Yura, he said softly, I've traveled more space than I can count. I've seen supernovas, walked on glass planets, fought beasts with eyes in their mouths. She smiled. But the most incredible thing I've ever seen is how you took pain and turned it into purpose. Her hand shimmered in his, soft crystal warming under his skin. I don't care if we're from different species. I don't care what anyone says. I love you. He reached into his pack and held out something small, circular, imperfect, glowing faintly. A ring made from fusion crystal and scrap metal. Will you be my wife? Yura stared at it, then at him. Her voice trembled, a stutter of joy in every syllable. Yes. 1,000 broken times, yes. Epilogue. From Mockery to Love. The wedding wasn't grand, but it was unforgettable. Held beneath the aurora storms of Juno's scar, humans and aliens, scavengers and synthetics, dreamers and builders all gathered. There was no priest, no ancient rite, just a promise shared between two beings who had found each other among the wreckage. Yura wore a gown of woven circuits that glowed with soft blue light. Kaelin wore a suit made of reprocessed fiber mesh, scavenged and tailored by her own hand. And when they spoke their vows, it wasn't tradition, it was truth. I was told I was broken, Yura said, her voice clearer than it had ever been. But you showed me I was brilliant. I thought I was just a wanderer, Kaelin replied. But with you, I found home. They kissed beneath the stars. And the galaxy, watching through hundreds of feeds and whispers, witnessed something rare. Not just love, but proof that beauty can be found in the most unexpected places. That even a life built from broken pieces can shine brighter than any polished perfection. And that sometimes mockery is just the prologue to a love that changes everything. Their light in the darkness. Years passed. Juno's scar, once a galactic dumping ground, had transformed into a sanctuary for the forgotten, the cast out, and the curious. The Reclaimer grew into a sprawling network of innovation hubs and healing sanctuaries. The world that once mocked Yura now depended on the brilliance she had brought to life. And at the center of it all were Kaelin and Yura, no longer just scavenger and stray pilot, but leaders, partners, symbols of everything possible when love met defiance. They faced challenges, of course. Interplanetary councils tried to regulate the reclaimer. Pirates attempted to steal her designs. Even the Tekri High Caste once issued a bounty on Yura's head, fearing the influence of her message, that flaws are not failures, that emotion is not weakness, that even the discarded deserve to shine. But none of it broke them. They fought together, won together, lived together. And one day, in the quiet hours of an amber-hued dusk, Yura stood atop the same plateau where she'd first watched the stars with Kaelin long ago. Beside her stood their daughter, half human, half Tekri. Her crystalline skin shimmered with asymmetric beauty. Her laughter carried warmth through the cold evening wind. Her name was Lyra, a name built from both their languages, meaning reborn from stardust. "Will they laugh at me too?" Lyra once asked, when the other children stared at her strange eyes and flickering skin. Yura knelt and gently touched her daughter's cheek. "Let them laugh," she whispered. "They laughed at me too. But someday they'll follow you. Just like they followed me." Kaelin smiled from a few steps away, his hand resting on the edge of a repaired cargo hauler. Even in age, he still looked at Yura the same way he had the night he proposed, like she was the most extraordinary thing in any universe. And she was. Not because she had perfect facets or flawless logic, but because she had chosen love, even after a lifetime of cruelty. She had rebuilt herself not to fit into the world, but to shape the world around her. Together, Kaelin and Yura had turned a scrapyard into a beacon. A love once mocked had become a revolution. And in the galaxies that followed, where interspecies love still drew curious eyes or whispered doubt, there were those who would smile softly and say, "Remember the human who saw her worth and made her his wife."